Renovating a 5-inch gauge sweep piece steam locomotive, Part 18. An experiment with paint. One of 2 episodes about this. Matching the colour was difficult and I could not get it just right. I went to Autopaint Northern, which is where I normally buy my paint from. Using a special optical device, they check the colour and mix the paint. I bought some rattle cans of synthetic enamel, which was a different kind of paint to what I used on my old Land Rover, and I had some problems with the paint reacting between coats. Before I started the paint job, this was the good side. As you can see around the nameplate, it was a bit raggy. There was quite a bit of physical damage to the other side, mainly chips to the paint. The first thing I did, which was a bit premature, was to make sure that the new paint that I'd bought was the right colour, so I sprayed some of it onto the corner of the tank. And I think it's definitely the right colour. There is a lot to do before I start painting this thing properly. This is the front, and as you can see, there are big chunks out of the paint. I rubbed down this particular damaged area using some 400 grade wet to dry sandpaper, and here I'm using some cellulose putty to fill the damage. I used a lot of this stuff on my Land Rover and it seemed to be quite successful and quite easy to rub down before painting. I don't know why it is, but I always seem to put more filler on things than I really need to, but when this area is rubbed down it should look okay. Here I'm filling a small chip on the edge. And again, as you can see, there is far too much filler. Applying filler with a wooden stirring stick does not appear to be a very good idea. At this point, I'd like to say I am not a painter. It's something that I find to be very difficult. This part of the tank was in very bad condition. I dug out all the old paint and the mess that was around it, and now it's filled. The condition of the paint at the front of this tank was very poor, and that's why I needed to fill the parts. I needed to buy some specialist painting tools, and it's long overdue. This is a paintwork polisher. It's quite small, just what I need for a model, and this is an advanced liquid compound that you apply to the foam pad on the end of the polisher, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm polishing the original paint, largely to remove the paint that I put on there, and it seems to do the trick. You have to be careful though how much pressure you put on it. If you put too much pressure on it, it removes all of the paint back to bare metal. I'm doing this just to have a practice because I've never used one of these before. After a while though, the penny dropped and I got the general idea of how to use it. This is not like a panel of a car, it's much smaller. As well as buying some spare heads for the polisher, I also bought this. It's a rotary orbital sander. I already have an orbital sander, but it doesn't work like this one does. On this model, the entire head rotates as well as vibrating at the same time. This tool though is not for this job. I need to sand the centre of the Land Rover bonnet because it's still a bit lumpy. And I won't be using this paint. This is red gloss synthetic enamel, whereas the Land Rover is green. And it's a 1K converted paint. And I have some of that left to go over the Land Rover bonnet once I've rubbed it down. I bought this Ryobi orbital sander because I already have some tools which use the Ryobi 1 system, because the hedge trimmer and the strimmer that I already have use the same batteries as this. As you can see, it's the Ryobi 1 system. Here's a photograph from last year after I painted the Land Rover. Bearing in mind there was no polishing whatsoever done on this, it's straight from the rattle can. In this photograph you can't see the centre part of the bonnet, but it's not as good as the rest of the Land Rover. But it will be once I've rubbed it down and repainted it. Work on the Land Rover came to a very abrupt halt last year, as I had to go into hospital to have a cancerous kidney removed, but I seem to be okay now. Back now to painting the tank, which is what this episode is all about. As you can see, it's not looking too bad now. Up until last week, when I went over to Autopaint Northern, I'd only ever used 400, 600 and 800 grit wet to dry sandpaper, and I never realised that you could get 1500, and I think you can get 2000 grit as well. When I mentioned to the man at Autopaint Northern that I used T-cut, he sort of laughed and said, "No, you need to use this stuff, it's a lot better." As you use these polishers, the foam pad takes on the colour that you're polishing. Originally, it's just a piece of foam. I also bought quite a lot of different grades of orbital sander discs. And as well as the red gloss synthetic enamel, I also bought some tins of satin black because I'd run out. On one side of the saddle tank at the rear is a dent, and here I'm about to fill it using some cellulose putty as I've previously shown. I'm using an expired plastic membership card for this, and it seems to be doing a good job. I'll try and shorten the next sequences by speeding up everything. Here I'm rubbing down the filler that I previously applied to the front of the tank. I'm doing it by hand with plenty of water, and I'm using 400 grit wet-to-dry sandpaper. It took a while, but eventually the area became quite flat. I also used 600 grit on this part. This is a very fiddly job. It's not a big panel like on a car. There's a lot of obstacles in your way. I mentioned earlier that I'm not a good painter. I don't really like painting much. But as with a lot of things, the more that you do with something, the better you get at it. Cleaning up these brackets was quite difficult, and the best way I found to do it was to use cellulose thinners and a small toothbrush. Being very careful to keep the thinners away from the main paintwork. The nameplates at the side, as well as the part at the top of the nameplate where it meets the main paint, was not in good condition. Here I'm using a rotary wire brush very carefully to remove the paint. Once again being really careful not to mark the main paint. I cleaned up the edges using a very small screwdriver, and now it's looking a whole lot better. After working on this side, I turned the tank around and did exactly the same on the other side. Originally, the black background paint around the letters was badly marked, and here I'm removing everything using the rotary wire brush. I think this name will probably look okay left in brass on the tank. Here's the story so far. It really does look a mess. It looked better than this before I started. And that is it for this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.